Welcome, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Heels, you're here. I thought you may have been in a state of disrepair, curled up in a fetal position after the loss yesterday.
I'm both. I'm here
But
and
you're
in that
curled up.
position. What happened yesterday?
Well, you were there calling it for SEN. It's become one of the great test matches. There's no doubt about that. The one little high point, I suppose, is that you are no longer the last Aussie to lose a test at the GABBA.
No, that's right, 1988, and that's one frontier gone by the Indians. Another frontier is they quite like playing in Australia now. The pace and bounce doesn't really worry the second 11, so it shouldn't worry the first 11, I suppose. And then they've got bowlers to produce that pace and bounce now, even their second 11 bowlers who did such a masterful job in tying Australia up in this test will have gained not only a wonderful experience, but great confidence in playing around the world better than India ever have.
A little bit like the Tide test where everyone you knew said they were there.
Yes.
There was, 3,000 or 4,000 there yesterday?
That's what it started at, and then probably 6 or 7 by the end. Very famous victory, and some beautiful scenes at the end. It's like India had won the World Cup, and I watched some young blokes. There were 7 in a photo in the paper today, and they're the likes of Washington Sundar, Sadul Thakur, the bowling attack, Natarajan and Suraj. There's 4 of them. Probably Saini, Pant, and although I don't think Pant was in there, Shubman Gill, and the trophy.
Yeah.
I watched them take at least 50 different combinations of photos between them. And they then look at their mirrors in their phone, get the phone up and make sure their hair was right, the Indian coif.
Yeah.
And, it was so good to watch. And the trophy was the proudest centrepiece of all those photos, which I love, because I think the Border Gavaskar trophy has been too often in the background. I hope it becomes as strong as the Ashes, and now we've got to get the Hadley Chapel trophy going between Australia and New Zealand. But great, well done, India.
If there were 6,000 there, I can guarantee you one thing, that every Indian cab driver in Brisbane was listening, because I took the bride to lunch yesterday, watched all of the morning. We disappeared mid-afternoon to go for a quick lunch. We had an Indian cab driver there who had it blaring in the front seat. And coming home, I jumped in and he sort of turned it down, not knowing whether I was a cricket follower or not. So I left it a few minutes, looked at the phone. I said, "Oh, you're 7-4." And he quickly turned it up and he looked panicked at me. And, of course, Pant was still in. And I've got to say, as I was leaving the cab, I said, well, there's only 2 results here. I said, it's a draw or Australia pick up quick wickets and beat you. But I don't think India can win. So I apologise to that cab driver who took me home yesterday from the Valley.
Very good. Very good. Like Shubman Gill, I really have a soft spot for him now. And I was hoping he made 91 and batted like normally. In tough conditions, and Pujara at the other end that just blocked, and he was sort of stalling everything, probably for India. But Gill made 91. I was really hopeful he'd go on and make a big 100, like about 100 or 101, and then get out. Anyway, he got out for 91. And then, oh, God, Rahane, the captain, came in and tried to was playing shots, 21 off 24 balls.
Yeah, he sort of signalled the intention, didn't it? It was like a shift, a stellar shift in the game when he came in.
Exactly. And after lunch, they said, we're going. We're going to keep this going. The captain will try to keep doing it. And he got himself out. Pujara, the wall, just stayed there. And then Pant came in. I loved the back of the paper today. We were pantsed.
Well, on Pujara, and I mean, the stats here don't indicate his influence. So he absorbed 5 hours, he absorbed 211 balls, scored 56, got belted hell west and crooked by the Australian quicks on his fingers, his body, his head, everywhere. And just, you're right, he was the wall. That's why they call him the wall.
Yep.
He laid the foundation, and then the kids went and played.
Yeah, good call. He was a tilt slab yesterday. Big block of concrete he couldn't get around. They combined beautifully. I think their leadership, and their support of Rishabh Pant came to the fore. They said, you are a match winner. That's what you do for us. Go and do it. That's all he's ever tried to do in his whole career. He frustrates a lot of fans, a bit like Glenn Maxwell, and he had a little bit of luck. Some of his shots were very audacious yesterday, and they came off or nearly got himself into trouble. But nice leadership and great cricket.
All right, we're here for BizCover. They're all brand new with us this year. Catch bizcover.com.au and BizSave on your business insurance. Now, we'd love you to be involved this morning, and let's talk a little bit of cricket because we've got no one better than Mr. Healy here to talk about it. 119 test matches. He knows. He's been there and done it all. So have a chat to him. Brighton Homes open line is 1300 320 154. That's brand new for 2021 as well. I say it again, 1300 320 154. The text is 0467 736 736. That's 0467 SEN. Or download the SEN radio app at the App Store. That's the best way to listen to us. Texts have already started, Heels. How can players push for test spots if there's no first-class cricket? Marcus Harris hasn't had a decent hit for weeks, and it showed.
Well, I think about this too. For 10 years now, we've positioned our Big Bash cricket, T20, in the middle of the Test series. So when the Test team fails, you've got replacements to bring in that aren't in any sort of current form. And that's what happened there. So can we shorten the Big Bash? We still want to run it through January and school holidays for sure, but this year we've had big squads, so we've got all the players that we're supposed to need in that squad practicing in the one format. So this year should have been better than most. And guess what? The other side of this argument is that India had the same. They haven't had a fair dinkum 4-day or 5-day hit for a long, long time either. They came out and played a couple of games here against most of our blokes before the Test series started, and they've ended up playing with a lot more hunger and a lot more appetite for performance than Australia did. And I've never seen an Australian team get out-committed. And, India seemed to be very clear, good leadership, and very hungry to stay in once they got in as batsmen, and bowlers toiled with good actions and good intensity.
We'll listen to Tim Payne as the morning goes on from his press conference last night. He was humbled in defeat and he was honest. He was asked about his future. But the one that I wanted to play first up this morning was Ravi Shastri, who is an old combatant of yours.
Right, he goes, right. Hello, Hills.
Well, he put this in perspective. He admitted, and he's a pretty tough, strong character.
Yes.
You've said that before, that he shed a tear yesterday afternoon. And here's just a couple of minutes from his press conference last night. He's a very, very proud manager.
When you look at the circumstances that this team came to Australia, being in lockdown for 4 months, where a lot of people living in metros couldn't even get out of their flats, leave alone having an opportunity to train. Then to go to the IPL, and someone like Jasprit Bumrah, because of Mumbai winning, he's bowled 64 overs. That's it. None of the other guys have got a proper hit in the middle. Then to come here and take on Australia in their own backyard, where the world knows how tough it is. And then to go through these quarantine periods, have injuries, multiple injuries, right from the toe, to be, bowled out for 36, India's lowest score. And then to come back from there and play like, absolute champions is unreal. I mean, the penny has still not dropped, and it will take a long time to drop. But, unreal. What I've seen, unreal, unimaginable, simply superb. Especially the resolve and the character the boys have shown right through. This is the toughest tour ever. We are playing it in COVID times, in quarantine times, and with the multiple injuries you said. So nothing comes close to this. This surpasses all. I mean, we were left with no choices. We had no one left in the squad when the final test started, and we had to play the guys who were there. I mean, if you look at the bowling attack that India beat Australia last time, there's not a single bowler playing in that last game. So it was important, to keep the self-belief going. And I think Ajinkya did a great job by being calm, composed, and taking everything in his stride. It's not easy, as a captain to go out with a bowling attack that is just 3 test matches old. It's no joke. But then to marshal the resources and keep everyone going, I thought was an outstanding achievement. And it's the self-belief that this team has. And, people think it's come overnight. It doesn't come overnight. It's a process that's taken 5-6 years. These boys have been playing with each other for 5-6 years. They've had tough tours. They've had losses. But, what they've learned now is never to give up. Feeling defeated is one thing, but giving up is not in our vocabulary. And that this team has shown. more than anything else. And you must give credit. He may not be here, Virat. He's back home in India. But, his character, his personality, that stamp is there for everyone to see in this team as well. And then for Ajinkya to take over the way he did was simply unreal.
The coach, proud manager, call him what you like, he's the boss. And he was extremely proud, wasn't he?
Well, you can't have 2.5 minutes of better accuracy than that. That is so well said. The psychology of it all is good. You can imagine young men growing in that environment with that sort of leadership and the calmness of Rahane. I'll bet Kohli's had plenty of phone calls too. I'm dying to find out about that. We'll talk to Bharat and see if he knows if Kohli has been in touch often or annoying them, something like that. But they didn't really need him. His personality was there.
Well, he basically put a very emotional text on social media as well and just congratulated the team and said how proud and how chuffed he was of them. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. That's a generational change. And I liken that to Australia winning the World Cup in 1987, the one-day World Cup in India. The final was at Calcutta Gardens in Calcutta, or Eden Gardens in Calcutta, and the Ashes in '89 when we won a Test series very rarely against England. So and then we went on and had 20 years of quite happy success around the world. So this Indian side now is bulletproof all around the world, and they've got depth, they've got confidence, and they've got skill. So that hasn't always been the case. And the GABBA is gone. Gee, we played bad. I don't think our team's that bad, but geez, we played bad.
87 and 89, it's something similar there, isn't it? Border.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of follow me attitude, the captain willing to do it without saying a whole lot and just inspiring through actions. It's up to us now. It's up to Australia now not to get too bad. Just before that 87 period, we were bad but we lost 20 good first-class cricketers to South Africa. Chapel Lily Marsh retired in 84. So the cupboard was bare. The cupboard's not bare. They're not telling us that the cupboard's bare at the moment, but we're just not playing very well. So we've got to get some classy leadership and strong messaging into those dressing rooms around Australia.
All right, let's have a listen to Tim Payne.
Oh, yeah, like I said, we're absolutely disappointed. I think it happened throughout, even if you went right back to Adelaide, whether it was with bat, ball or field, every time we had a chance to go ahead of the game, we let it slip. Happened a little bit in Sydney, obviously, with our fielding, and then probably yesterday a bit with our batting. We continually lost wickets when we were trying to put the foot down and couldn't quite get a partnership together. And I thought every time India needed to do that or needed a wicket, someone managed to do it for them. So, again, you just got to give them credit. I think they won the key moments. Just said then to JL, like we turned up to Sydney on day 5 and the GABBA on day 5 in as good a position as you would want to be in, I reckon, and couldn't get the job done. So, yeah, there's some things that we should have and could have done better. But at the same time, I thought India their batting group were amazing in both those day 5s.
And naturally, Heels, the questions started straight away last night about his future as Test captain, which...
it doesn't always go your way in cricket and in life. So for me, it's about soldiering on. I've said a few times I still feel like I have improvement in me. I still feel like I want to get better. I certainly want to keep leading this team. As I said, we've got some unfinished business and something that we set out to achieve as a group. So I intend to finish that.
So much written about it front and back of the paper today. They're calling it, the ghosts of Ben Stokes from Headingley in 2019. That's been brought up when he played that magnificent unbeaten century there to take the game away from Australia. Pant, Pujara, Gill, all of them. I mean, it's just a wonderful story. As a cricket lover, it's a wonderful story. As an Australian fan, it's not so.
Not so good, but they're wonderful ghosts. Just happen to get us all the time. Gill and Pant, I reckon. And Gill, Pujara, Pant, make a ditty out of that. But I called it Cool Runnings yesterday. It's like there's a movie in that for sure. This ragtag team thrown in under pressure, all cranky, threatening that they're not coming to Brisbane. We don't want to play there. And they get the most famous of victories and series wins for a generational change.
You want a movie, don't you?
Yeah. So Australia, a bit too much talk, eh? Bit too much talk, not enough action.
Okay.
India, full of action.
All right. Now, as I said, we'd love to hear from you today. There's lots to talk about in cricket.
There's a few in there, Paddy.
Yes.
Yeah. I like this one, lads. I was lucky enough to spend a couple of days at the cricket, but one thing stood out to me. You shouldn't be less informed when you attend the game than if you're at home. So he's saying, and I really agree with that. Rugby's another game like that. You sit in the grandstand, you don't really know what's going on. Because you haven't got the commentary. This year we haven't had the sports ears, the little ear product, which is great and transmits whatever commentary team you want to listen to. And I think cricket needs that. If you're sitting side on, you want to know exactly how fast that ball was, how much sideways movement there was, because you can't see it. So I think that's a really good point. And the broadcasters probably have to sort of do more for the current for the people who are paying money through the turnstiles.
Yep.
Well, definitely the game has to. And then it was, gents, it was refreshing to see a hungry, skillful team outlast a good Australian. Really nice to see how humble the winning team could be behind post-game as well.
Well, one of those, images that we'll remember was the presentation of Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, that was
which
excellent,
was
wasn't
fantastic.
it?
Yeah.
They gave him a signed shirt, the Indians, for his 100th test, and thanks for bowling not so well.
Into the studio comes Mark Braybrook.
A sports update. Laminate flooring dropped to under $17 at National Tiles.
Morning, Pat. Morning, Hills. Yeah, very depressing in one respect, but it was uplifting in another yesterday, wasn't it? The fact that, we got beaten at the GABBA for the first time in yonks, but it was just terrific Test cricket. I mean, India showed us how to play, and blokes that came out here to just bowl in the nets have beaten Australia at the GABBA. No one's been able to do that. Let's put it into context. No one's been able to do that since 88, 89. Some of the best players in the world, these blokes were net bowlers and blokes that they didn't have any intention of playing in the Test series at all, and they've come out, and most of them just 1 or 2 tests under their belt. I mean, Washington Sundar was superb with bat and ball. So too was Takia. And the way Saini is, Shiraz, they're all unbelievable, India. So well done. And how could they not pick Pant in the first test, India? I mean, do they regret that?
Why didn't they again? Did he play
the keeper, the other keeper's
just keeper.
Yeah.
Oh, he's playing whether he's keeping or not now for sure. But they all summer they got their first team selections wrong.
We do have a caller. Demi, you there?
Yes. How you going, guys?
Good, thanks, Demi. Angry, happy, humble, Indian. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm angry. As a big cricket fan, as I say, it was a great game of cricket. Great Test series, really, to watch.
Yeah, good call.
I think for me, there's a couple of things. One thing is that you've got to really give it to the Indians because they were the better team over the series. Apart from 1 or 2 sessions, especially in Adelaide, they definitely deserve to win the Test series. I think the other thing too is for people who are criticising Australia a lot from yesterday, I think you got to understand that when you're trying to win a game, it's okay to lose a game as well.
Yep.
That's one thing for me. Because for me yesterday watching it, they were definitely trying to win the game, and sometimes you got to take risks. You got to take risks, and that involves actually at some stage looking like you're going to lose a game to try and win a game, and that's fine.
And Pant was good enough. Pant was good enough to put those risks away. That we tried to nick him off, and bowled some full balls. And he drove them for 4 every time, right when we didn't need it to happen.
Yeah, and look, if Australia could have put more defensive fields earlier in the day and then shut the game down probably, but they kept going for the win. India kept going for the win, and that's what made it such a great game. Very similar to how we remember the series, I think, in 2001 in India that we lost. A couple of great games there as well. You know, they sort of Test series, they live in the back of your mind, and that's why you like and love watching Test cricket, that's for sure. A couple of things that worry me is like the decisions that they've been making with selections and obviously some of the field placements, some of the decisions they make. You can easily target 1 or 2 people with that, but you've got to remember it is a collective. I'm sure when they look at these tactics, there's a few of them sitting down from Langer through to the coaches, through to the senior players. But it seemed to fall over somewhere at times. And I think that's one thing, too, that they have to worry a bit about. So Harris at the top of the order, I think, some of the commentators were saying that he looks like the future. Well, there was a bit of analysis on him by Michael Hussey and pointed out that to the short ball he has an issue where he ducks his head all the time and takes his eyes off the ball.
Yeah.
I think that's something for him that he really needs to work on as well. So.
Yeah, you're dead right, Jimmy. There's going to be some serious soul searching here. I mean, hopefully Pekowski will solve that opening problem. Warner's certainly not done yet. But, mate, we appreciate the call. I think you've reflected what most Aussie fans are like this morning. We're disappointed that we've lost the Test match, but we sit here in awe of what India have achieved for a team that was bowled out for 36 in Adelaide just a few weeks ago. So,
good on you, Demi.
Jimmy, thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome.
Let's go straight into a cricket update thanks to Dometic. Everything you need for adventures, big or small, mobile living, made very easy thanks to Dometic. And on the line, he's been waiting there very patiently. We couldn't have this morning without having a chat to Bharat Sundarasan, could we?
Definitely not. Congratulations, Bharat. And how wound up were you last night, please?
Yeah, I'm still haven't wound down yet. So it's been a long night. Heels, and I'm still waiting for my $50.
No, I'm telling you.
Is what we bet on.
Yes, it wasn't. You predicted that India would win and Natarajan would hit the winning runs. And I said, I'll give you $50 if that happens, right? But now Bharat seems to think it was just the winning bit, not the Natarajan bit. And anyway, I'll look forward to giving it to you, mate. It was a great. Who were the heroes for you?
Oh, I mean, so many. I think the Indian spirit itself, the collective spirit, was the biggest hero. But and heroes of different kinds as well, right? Pujara's innings really summed up the summer, where this Indian team just did not go down for the count, not even for a 2 count, to be honest. And they kept taking the knocks on the chin, and different parts of the body like Pujara did, but they didn't flinch. They grimaced, but they just kept standing and fighting. While at the other end, you just had the extravagance of youth, this gay abandon, this fearlessness that the youth of India bring to not just cricket, but everything they do these days. The Shubman Gills and the Rishabh Pants and the Washington Sundars. I mean, Shubman Gill taking down Mitchell Starc the way he did, even if India hadn't won, I think it would have. He had done enough to establish his reputation. Then you had Rishabh Pant, who India has, dillied and dallied over the last few years about is he a hero or a villain? Just showing the kind of maturity you need at this level to be a leader. He really announced himself as a future leader, I thought, alongside playing his crazy shots all over the place. And then you had a 21-year-old debutant hooking the best fast bowler in the world for 6 under pressure. Just heroes wherever you wanted to look.
Hey, Bharat, give me some sort of indication of what the reaction's been like back home.
Oh, I mean, this is being heralded as I think the greatest moment in Indian cricket history, purely because of who they achieved it with. Yes, they won 2 World Cups in the past, but that was India at full strength, and the 2011 World Cup, India's arguably one of India's greatest one-day teams ever, beating Sri Lanka at home. But this, to come to Australia and a proper full-strength Australia, no excuses this time. No. Smith was there, Warner was there, the 4th, the famous quartet was there.
Yep.
To do it with a bunch of anonymous names, a lot of Indians would not know much about Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur or T. Natarajan in a red ball format or in that scenario. To do what they did with who they had, not just at the GABBA, but throughout the series, just tells you, that this is the greatest comeback ever in sport, one of the greatest comebacks ever, but the greatest moment in Indian cricket history.
Oh, fantastic. What about Mrs. Rahane? What about the sacrifice she makes?
I know. I mean, some of the players had come over with their families, but some of them took a call, especially Rahane with a very young daughter. So he just, wanted to, his sleep cycle to be not be too disturbed, especially after he took over as captain. And she went back with the child, and it's these little stories that add to the whole the fabric of what we saw, right? I mean, it's a fable that will be told and retold for many years to come, maybe forever in Indian cricket history and in India. I think it was a great triumph for India as a country as well.
Kohli as well, he was tweeting or through social media. He was excited as the rest of the country, I think, wasn't he?
He would have been. And, in a way, in a strange way, his absence almost made the series even greater, because if Virat Kohli was still here or had been here, it would still have been a remarkable turnaround after 36 all out. But it would have somehow revolved around Virat Kohli and his leadership, just because he is a larger-than-life character. But because he was gone and you had like this very unassuming, unsung hero in Ajinkya Rahane leading the charge, you just saw so many new heroes develop and each get his own space under the sun.
Oh, very good. In Sydney, were the threats not to come to Brisbane real, do you think? Or were they just sort of thrown out there by unnamed sources?
Well, they were real to an extent. I think India just wanted to express their dissatisfaction to an extent of being just like, bandied about or just pushed about without any clarity about, of what they can do and what they can't do. I think Sydney was a bigger issue now looking back than Brisbane in terms of, but life is normal in Sydney. It's not in lockdown. So why are we being forced to stay indoors? And Ajinkya Rahane kept talking about it in the press conference. Life outside is normal, but we've been like, it's fine. So I think it had a lot to do with Sydney more than Brisbane, but it definitely had nothing to do with not wanting to play at the GABBA, as they've shown.
Hey, what about the coach, Ravi Shastri? The boss of the team, isn't he? He's everything to that team, and he admitted he shed a tear last night at the GABBA.
I'm not surprised he would have shed a tear. It's been such an emotional ride for him, not just this tour, but just being coach since he was thrown into the job in 2014, and then also after he came back. I met him in Melbourne or bumped into him in Melbourne after the win, and he really felt that was his greatest day as coach of an Indian team. Then I spoke to him after Sydney, and he said, "This is the greatest day in my coaching career." I think, the GABBA, whatever he would have experienced last night, more than it being the greatest day, I think it would have been such an emotional moment for him, because he's more than a father figure. He's almost a father to so many of these guys. That hug he shared with, the embrace he gave Rishabh Pant as he walked off the field, you could see it in that moment that, it meant so much to him that his boys, it almost felt like his boys had gone there and literally played the kind of cricket that he played and he's so proud of. He always talks about in Australia, you have to look them in the eye and beat them at their own game, and that's what they did.
Yeah, but the squad and its mentality and enthusiasm just doesn't resemble the one that was early days in Sydney. Hey, Rahul Dravid is being acclaimed for much good work in the pathway of Indian cricketers.
Yes, for sure. I mean, he's been Indian under-19 coach for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and he's also been responsible for India going on a lot of India A tours, or a lot of these guys going on India A tours, where they've learnt a lot. And this group of guys, I mean, either they've played under the Gills and the Punts, they've either played under Rahul Dravid at the Under-19 World Cup, or he's coached them at an India A level, and now he's, of course, in charge of the National Cricket Academy. So, yes, you'll hear a lot of players talk about his contribution, and we all know how tough a character he was.
Yes.
So he's instilled his kind of toughness, whereas Ravi Shastri comes with a little more bravado and a little more in-your-face kind of aggression. So it's a nice blend of everything. And also, big shout-out to Bharat Arun, the bowling coach, who's really, really redefined Indian fast bowling over the last few years in terms of tactics and strategies. He doesn't get much of a mention because of his personality. He's not the most outspoken, but he has played a huge role in this win.
Hey, Barrett, great to speak to you. You're right. It's a red letter day for Indian cricket. It was a fantastic win and something we all appreciated as cricket lovers. It was one of the great days in cricket, especially here in Brisbane.
Double or nothing on the $50 when we go to India next, Barrett.
All right. Hughes, I'll hold you on that. And yeah, it was a privilege just being there, covering it, and sharing a bet with the great Ian Healy.
Barrett, thanks very much. Hey.